Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm Rachel O'Leary, and today we're out at the greenhouse, and I know it's been a hot minute since we've been out here, but it has just not stopped raining. Now, I've turned off the air pumps today so you can hear me, but you're still going to get some rain ASMR. It's out of my control. While the temperatures out here aren't requiring me to bring in critters yet, I really want to get started moving stuff in, just so I know how much tank space I have left in the basement in order to do an import order to restock and get prepared for getting sort of back in action. So I'm going to start today by collecting shrimp. Now, I moved out maybe 8 to 10 of each color form that I have out here this year, and there are 3 bins of them. There are yellow neocaridina, cherry shrimp, and blue neocaridina. And today we're just going to collect them, and it's not a particularly complicated procedure. I'm going to pull the plants out, drain the tubs a bit, and catch the shrimp, then put the plants back. We'll go over overwintering plants when it gets quite a bit colder. One thing I wanted to make sure I show you, and you've seen this if you follow me on Instagram, is how absolutely nuts my sensitive plant has gone. It has gone from one end of the greenhouse to the other, all the way to the ground in this spot, and really it's just been incredible. And I do plan to move one of my tubs down into the basement, probably below my Hillstream aquarium, put some lights on it and see if I can't overwinter it. Because I have never had sensitive plant this insanely awesome before, and I just want to see if I can preserve this particular specimen. I'll probably move in some of the floaters as well. Anyway, let's get started catching some shrimp. Now, I still can't kneel yet or crouch, so I'm going to have to sit on the ground for this, and I apologize in advance if I block your view. I'm going to start by just putting some of the water into one of my specimen containers, which I'll place the shrimp into, and then just moving some of the plants out of the way, as well as collecting some of the algae and discarding that. This is the yellow bin. And I didn't move out very many because I didn't have very many, but I figured I'd give it a shot and see how they did. And I know that there are quite a few more in here than what I placed out here. So that is great. I'm excited to show you guys how good the coloration they get is when they're housed outside like this. These bins developed quite a lot of hair algae, which didn't bother me one bit because the shrimp graze on it. And actually, it was a great food source for them. And I showed you as well that they got those little flying insects in here, which did not predate on the shrimp, it seems, in the slightest. Now I'm making sure as I pull out this string algae that there aren't any shrimp in it. This water is actually a little bit cool, so it's probably good that I am moving them in. In one scoop, I've already collected way more shrimp than I moved out here, so I think we're going to have a decent yield. And there's a bunch buried as well. How many we got in that one scoop? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, about 25 in one scoop, and that was just literally across the front, and they are everywhere in here. I'm pretty excited about this. I mean, shrimp breed really well indoors too, but it's really nice to be able to have them just sort of sit out here and multiply. Pull out some more plants and keep working. Now again, these tubs I just topped off as needed all summer long, so I won't have to worry about acclimating the shrimp because they've been kept in my tap parameters this whole time. And I did treat these tubs with BTIs. I did a video of that right after my knee surgery, and that's just bacterium that kill mosquito larvae, but nothing else. Since the shrimp don't predate upon mosquito larvae, it was important to make sure I could work out here and avoid being eaten alive. I'm just going to keep doing this and then I'll show you guys the result. So I collected way more than I anticipated. We're going to let that water clear up and take a look. I've caught all that were easy to catch in here, so I'm going to toss the plants back in and give them the opportunity to continue breeding should there be any out here. I will be emptying these tubs this year, so I'll be able to check then to make sure I didn't miss any. Now the blues are way easier to see in this bin because they're dark, but there are tons and tons of them, so these are going to be really rewarding to collect. So let's get started. I'm not going to bore you with watching the same process again and again. I'm just going to go through and collect these, and then I'll collect the cherry shrimp from in here, and then we'll go down to the fish room and put them away, and I'll show you the results. These are the blue neos, and again we'll take a look once I get them into the fish room. The yellows. And the cherries, and there are tons of them. As you can hear from the background, it is pouring, so we're gonna have to hide out in the greenhouse for a little bit and then take these guys in to put them away. Now I put all 3 shrimp bins back the way they were because I'm positive I missed a bunch of baby shrimp. So we'll let them continue to grow out here. They may even continue to breed, but once temperatures get a bit lower in here, they don't really breed as much and they just grow out. So I'll be able to collect the rest of them easily in the future. Well, easier than today at any rate. Alright, so we've moved them all in and I have some trays set up. Let's take a look at that. Here. Now as we can see, the water's pretty murky in these from being out in the tubs. So what I'm going to do is pour them into these larger flat Sterilite trays in order to sift out any substrate from outside, algae, as well as any annelids, or they're like earthworm looking things that are pretty common in tubs. So I'm going to go ahead and pour them into there, and then we'll take a look at what we've got. Now each of these just has a little bit of tank water from the tanks that they're going to go into. We'll go ahead and let those settle, then take a closer look. So these are the aquariums I have set up for the shrimp. As you can see, they're just bare tanks with a sponge filter, chock full of guppy grass. What I'm going to do here is get another dip and pour with some clean water and then scoop out the shrimp. Again, I really don't want to add any hitchhikers nor any of the algae to the aquarium, so I'm going to do my best to just collect the shrimp and get a count while we're at it. We're going to start with the yellow because that had the least amount of detritus. And I'm just going to scoop out the leaves and stuff that I can see to try and avoid them. I have a small fine mesh net. I'm just going to go through and catch and count shrimp. Gently nudging them with my fingernail to put them into the container. And then any of this like yuck from the this holding container, I'm going to try and clear out of the net and not add back in. $134 yellow shrimp. Not bad. And there might actually be a few more in there. I'm going to let it settle down again while I move on to the blues and the reds. Let me show them to you real quick. It's a pretty decent haul, really, for moving only a handful of shrimp out. Let me write that down so I don't forget. Ugh. Let's move on to the blue. Now this one had a fair amount more of like gunk in it. Not entirely sure why. Look at this scoop. Now we'll let this settle down again and see if we find any more. Oh, 227. And them up next to the yellows and take a look. So far we have 227 blue shrimp and 135 yellows. See how great they look. Oh, let's get that guy. Oh, yeah. Hopefully this will be a good one too. Now I noticed when I was pulling these out that there were a lot more tiny cherries. But I would expect to get about the same yield as the blues. It's a pain in the butt counting all these, but it helps give me an idea of what I've got. I mean, there are just a ton of teeny tiny cherries, which is good. Don't get me wrong. Now, I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see or not, but these are some of those little worms. They kind of resemble leeches, but they're not. They're like little annelids, almost like planarians. And that's what I don't want to move inside, which is why I'm going through all this hassle of collecting the shrimp this way in this multi-step process. We're at 87 in there so far. 180. I'm going to finish this up and then we'll come back and take a look. So I know there's still more in the container that I'm waiting for it to clear up, but I pulled 336 cherry shrimp, and that's not counting the teeny tinies. 134 yellow shrimp and 228 blue shrimp, which is absolutely incredible. I love being able to offer homegrown shrimp like this instead of the crappy quality imported that are so often seen. So this is very exciting. You can see how nice all the colors are. We'll get them into an aquarium and take a look as well. These are the blue shrimp. Looking amazing. Everywhere you look, there's just tons of them. These are the yellows. Yellow, yellow everywhere. See all sizes. And then these are the cherry shrimp. You can see how vivid those colors are. I mean, there's just cherry shrimp everywhere. I'm probably going to drop a piece of polyfilter into each of these aquariums just because this was way more shrimp than I anticipated. And I don't want to have any sort of issues with cycling. But I am beyond geeked to have gotten this many shrimp, and I know there's still a bunch out there that I'll have to collect yet at the end of the season. So that's it, guys. Shrimp yield phase 1. I am beyond geeked. That's over almost 700 shrimp, or over 700 shrimp with basically no work. I didn't feed them, I didn't water change them. I just topped off the bins, and I only moved out less than 10 of each of the types. That's just amazing. It just makes me so happy. In previous years, I've tried the shrimp in the outdoor tubs, and insect predation's been a real issue, and I had very poor yields. I may make the greenhouse lower level all shrimp next year. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that. As always, thanks for your continued support.